Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you all for joining us today for today's session. My name is Firas, and I'm the event planner for Microsoft Reactor in Redmond. Before we start, I have a few things to go over. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. We encourage engagement in the chat, but please be mindful of your commentary and remain professional and on topic. This session is recorded. It will be available through the Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel. I'll be sharing the link for the YouTube channel in the chat. I'll also be sharing some links to the Reactor Mira page and link for our survey to know your feedback on this event. Which brings us to our session today. This session will run for approximately 1 hour with time for questions throughout. Our speaker for today is Sam Wronski. He's a regional cloud advocate. I'm now going to pass this along to Sam.
Hello, everybody. I am Sam Wronski. I'm a regional cloud advocate here at Microsoft. My job is to help empower all of you to build really cool things with Microsoft technology. This is the Reactor Code Lab. This is, if you're new here, this is a show where we connect and try to learn something new together, and hopefully integrate it into something we're building. So this week, or this month rather, we've actually been building this SignalR project to allow us to basically have a, we're finishing this up this Thursday at the same time, so 4 p.m. Pacific. But what I would like to do is kind of start the journey of productionizing this. Awesome. Hi. You just started making a game with SignalR today. Awesome. That's so cool. I would love to hear more, honestly, because I've been looking into the same thing. If you get it to the point where you can share it, send it my way. I would love to test it out. So what we're doing today is productionizing this, at least getting started along that path. I don't really know what that means. Because this is my first time really building in something with SignalR that's going to be used by people. And so we're going to kind of try to figure out what that means. So I'm going to try to bring in some Azure services like the Azure SignalR service and figure out how to use that. And we're going to try to kind of make this something that's a little bit more robust than a typical demo project. To just quickly go over how this project works. It is a SignalR server and a Blazor web app. So we have this canvas here of 16 by 16 pixels. Right now, they're just numbers, but the idea is they will eventually be colors. So you can send colored pixels between one person and another, and that's going to go and update what everybody else sees. So you kind of have like an interactive display that can be synced between multiple different people wherever they are. And then as people are drawing, you can actually see that everywhere. So that's sort of what we're trying to build here. We're adding the color bit again on Thursday. But right now what happens is if you click one of these buttons, a message gets created and sent up to a server. So this gets sent up to a SignalR hub, which can process these messages and basically just rebroadcast them back out. SignalR is a client-server communication platform. Which means that instead of all of your clients, all the people on your website knowing about everybody else there, maybe you have a chat app and everybody else knows about the people chatting. That's not what's happening. Instead, you're sending that message up to a server, and that server is figuring out how to broadcast that message back. That's all done using a series of RPCs or remote procedure calls. So basically think of it like calling a C# function on another computer. And that's actually how the APIs for this work in C#, which makes it pretty easy. If you're curious and want to learn more about how all of this came together, we actually live coded this over 2 1-hour sessions so far. So you can see this entire thing kind of come to be over those 2 sessions. And that's going to be on the Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel. So check that out if you're interested. But for now, we're going to try to make this a little bit nicer. And we're probably not going to even start with this, just because we're starting with something that's a little bit more complicated and intentionally injected some things that maybe make this harder. So starting with something that maybe doesn't have those seems like a good place to start, just to get us off the ground and kind of understanding where we are and how some of this stuff works. So what we're going to be taking a look at is this Azure SignalR service, which allows you to run a SignalR server inside of Azure. So this has a few benefits for us. It can actually handle the scaling for us. So this service supports auto scaling, so you don't need to scale your entire service. You can scale the SignalR portion that's handled by Azure, and it will do all the other stuff. It kind of slots in between your interactive clients and the server that's controlling this. So when you're sending messages, they will go to the Azure server and then get redirected into your hub. This also has other advantages, like being able to actually call into Azure functions, for example. So if you want to trigger Azure functions based off of SignalR messages, I believe this is possible. There's more about this if you kind of go to this docs page. There's a whole bunch about running and setting up Azure functions with this. That is not something that I've really built, so I'm not entirely sure how all of that works yet. But that's an option, and it seems like one of the really cool things to do with this. So what we're going to be trying to do is kind of figuring out how to use this. So right now we have a console app that's running our server, and then we have a Blazor web app that's running our client. So what we're going to do is kind of run through this again, and we're going to actually recreate both of those, I think. Just from scratch, we're going to create a quick app to do this. There's an example here to do that. It seems like even though our app is very similar to a chat app, the only difference is we're sending colors instead of sending text. The only difference there is the architecture. Ours is built slightly differently. We intentionally separated the Blazor and the SignalR components, so they're completely separate, which introduces things like CORS issues or cross-origin something. It causes security issues in your browser, and your browser rejects the requests. We shouldn't run into those if we just build something new from scratch, which seems like it would be a nicer thing. And this actually has the parts in it to actually walk you through how to deploy this thing out to Azure and actually get it running. So that's what we're going to start with. So first, it looks like it has us create an Azure SignalR resource. Okay, let's do that. So if we go over to here, just like everything, when I am starting this, let's go create a resource group. When I'm starting a new project, whenever I'm testing something, create a new resource group. Even if you don't think you're going to need it, it's pretty handy to just have things separated rather than my historical way of building this was throwing everything into a single resource group, which doesn't lead to good things. The problems you run into with that is you can't really get rid of one resource or like drop a project if you no longer want it to be in the cloud. You have to kind of pick certain things. So one of the cool things of this is when we're done with this demo and we don't want to use this anymore, we can drop this and no longer have costs that we're incurring. So that's what we're going to be kind of taking a look at. So let's do a SignalR demo. Sure. Let's throw this in US West. I'm in San Francisco. So with dev environments, putting them close to you makes sense. Whereas in production environments, putting them near your customers makes more sense because whoever's connecting more, that's who you want to optimize for. So that should create that. Let's go and find it. There we go. Have I done something weird? Because I don't see it. There it is. All right, cool. Scroll. Sorry, I'm scrolled in or zoomed in on my screen. So anyway, ignoring that weird thing, let's go and create the SignalR service. So this is a service that runs SignalR in your in Azure, and it can actually handle things like horizontally scaling this between different clouds. So if you have lots of clients that start connecting, this service can actually scale to accommodate that. Whereas if you're self-hosting this, that's something you're going to have to solve yourself. So let's create this and go and find a few different things. Sorry, getting lost. So let's go and put this in our SignalR demo. Again, everything goes in the same resource group. That way we can drop it later if we need to. And everything's kind of nicely partitioned. So let's call this needs to be a unique name that we're going to give it. So let's just call this our Pixel Party demo, I guess. Let's see if that's unique. Yes. All right, cool. So Pixel Party is the name of the app that I've been building. So we're going to call it that. Just work from there. We should be able to reuse this between the two services we have. So we can give that a shot. I don't know exactly how far we're going to get with this. There's a lot that goes into actually turning something that's just a demo project into something that you can release. That we're not going to cover in a full hour. It's just going to take more time than that. But that's sort of along the goals here. Is we're trying to do as much as we can. So there's 3 different sections here. I've been using the free version when I previously tested this. So that's the one we're going to choose. Depending on your needs, you might need one of these higher tiers. But if in our case, we have a 16 by 16 grid of pixels. And eventually it's going to be time gated. So you can only send a certain number of messages within a specific amount of time. So it's not that big of a deal that we're limited to 20,000 messages. But if you need more than that, you can scale that up. Again, these paid services are scaled by unit. So when you're talking about auto scaling, that would be adding more units to this, which can support more connections and more clients. So let's go and create this free tier and select. Cool. A few other options will be removed, I think, and that should be good. I'm slightly less familiar with this. Let's see if there's any advice here. Subscription, choose your subscription, pricing tier, pin to dashboard. Okay, cool. That's all good. So let's go and create this connectivity mode. Public endpoint, I think, should be fine for this. Clicking the wrong things. Really clicking the wrong things. There we go. What did I do? I have switched into ARM mode because I went too fast. So let's do that again. Sorry. One of the downsides of doing a live demo is that can happen, but oh well. So let's go and quickly re-enter this. So full party demo. Over to US West. Set it up for the free tier. And then we should be good. There is a way to update or upgrade your tier of this SignalR service. So if you start on the free tier, just to test it out, and then you're like, oh, I want to actually use this, you can upgrade into one of the other tiers if your needs need that. So there we go. Networking, we're good. Review, there we go. And so this is actually going to validate this, and then we can go and create this. That will create the service, and I believe that takes a little bit because it actually needs to spin up that unit. So now what are we doing? Looks like grabbing the settings endpoint. So we'll get to that in just a sec after that spins up, but we can move on to this for now. So let's stop our current SignalR server, and let's maybe not. Heck, weird. Okay. I don't know what was going on there, but let's switch over to here and create a new MVC project. So .NET new MVC. MVC is Model View Controller, just a design pattern. And let's give this a name, Pixel Party Demo. Sure. So that will create a new project inside of that directory that we gave it. And we can go from there. I don't think it wants us to copy anything, so we're good. And so the next thing that actually happens is something that I didn't even know it existed. I've never used it before, so we're going to learn this as well. But there's a .NET Secret Manager, which can actually manage your secrets without you having to either publish them into your environment variables or push them into some source control. So if you have development secrets that you need to manage, there's a .NET Secret Manager tool that can help out there. So let's do this and open this up. And there we go. Cool. And let's, it looks like they're just editing the thing. They're just editing their, here, let's make this slightly less awkward. There we go. Did that? Nope, that didn't make it less awkward. There we go. Sure. So they're adding a .NET CLI tool reference element into the tools. So that is right here. Also add a user secrets ID element as shown in the following code. Okay. I don't see that, but okay, we'll explore and see what we break. So let's go and grab this secret tools manager. We can actually find more information here, which will actually walk us through a little bit about how all of this stuff works. Turns out there's some fancy stuff going on to store things. You shouldn't need to know where it's storing your information, but if you do, it's here. And so this is actually how you can actually manage your secrets. So let's go and do this. I think the best way, we could just copy their config. That's an option. I don't know if that's the best option, but let's go here. And what did I press? There we go. Cool. And so property group, cool, items, let's grab these and throw them in here. And I can't read this either, but that's okay. Let's, there. I don't know why I'm doing all sorts of weird window management things. This is not probably helpful at all, and it's confusing me. But we're doing that. So I'm going to add these, but I think the better option, rather than doing this, because we're going to need to do a .NET restore in order to bring these back, might be to actually go and get the latest versions. So let's maybe go and try that, because this is targeting .NET Core apps 3.1. We're on .NET 6, which is a slightly different version mismatch. So I'm curious what will happen. So I guess we can try this with those versions. Those might be old though. So .NET restore, that should bring those packages down for us, just because we edited our project file. So we should get those pulled down for us. Up to date, cool. And then the .NET package add MVC. Oh. And now we get this. Interesting. So now we have SignalR added. SignalR is the dependency that we need in order to actually manage this. That is actually the Azure SignalR, which I think is different. I can double check this because I've got the project here. Let's, I'm in the process of relearning Visual Studio instead of Visual Studio Code, using Visual Studio. So I need to figure out how to open this project. Don't know. Oh, found it. It's already open. Anyway, cool. So you'll see this is the ASP.NET Core SignalR. We imported the Azure SignalR. So there's slightly different dependencies than what we previously had. And so that's actually going to give us the ability to actually add a SignalR dependency for Azure. So we go here, add a secret named our connection string. So what this should have done, if I understand this correctly, is add a user secrets thing. So you won't have this if you're in another directory. So I should be able to just go up and do .NET user secrets. I think it works. Never mind. Interesting. Never. I don't. I guess I'm thinking of something different. There we go. Let's go into here and let's just add this as a user secret. So set Azure SignalR connection string. And we're going to add our connection string here. We don't have that yet, but we can go and get it. Our SignalR service should have been created by now. So we can actually go here and grab that. Things are grayed out for this just because I have an extension to kind of block some of those. But we should be able to go over to connection strings. I think keys actually is where we want to go. There we go. So there's two here. There's the keys and the primary keys. I'm going to reveal these because it's a demo and it will hopefully make it a little bit easier to understand. So let's toggle those off. This is going away afterwards, so this is fine for me to reveal. You should not show people your secrets. That is not the point here. But the point is this gives us a way to actually demo this stuff. So just so it's a little bit clearer, here are all the information things that we're trying to use. So we actually need our connection string, which I think is this. You'll see there's two here. This is actually a site reliability thing. So in order to make your service a little bit more resilient, if you ever do end up leaking a key, for example, and needing to regenerate that key, one of the issues can be you regenerate the key and now none of your apps have can access any of the other things because they no longer have a valid access key. By having two, you can actually somewhat avoid that unless you leak both of them. But if you leak just one or need to rotate one key at a time, this gives you a way to kind of do that more safely because hopefully your circuit breaker will just switch back to your second one. So you'll be on your second connection string whenever that happens, and then you can just use that. So that's sort of, I think one of the cool things with this is you get two. For this, we're just going to use one, but you do have the two options here, so you can do that circuit breaker if you want, if you need the resilience of that option. So you can just swap these. So let's see here. I think they're grabbing the connection string, so that's what we have. And setting that in the thing. So if we do that should add a user secret, but it doesn't. I cannot execute because the specified command or file was not found. User secret set. I'm not sure what's going on there. Again, the point of the show is sort of to demonstrate the learning process and how we're doing these things. So I don't actually know what's going on here. This isn't something that I've done before. So we're going to kind of figure out what's going on here together. So the first thing I'm going to do, I don't know, I deleted it like that, but try. Interesting. Where did our command go? Because it was there. We were able to run it, and now it's not. So I'm curious what happened. Everything's up to date. So if I do .NET user secret for help, not there. I've never had this happen before, so I don't really know. If we go up here again, .NET user secret help, that also doesn't work. So it's something changed with the support. Okay, cool. You also ran into these. So one of the cool things about the reason we do this, the reason that I like running these is it kind of helps me figure out what the things are, because just the nature of my job, I have some resources where I can actually go out and find these answers if I need to. But it's really frustrating, and you don't always have the same resources that I do. So by doing this, hopefully we can figure these things out, and I can fix them for the next time. So I'll make a note and try to figure out what's going on here. because this is weird, and I'm not really sure how to fix it. So let's see if we can find a way. So we have the CLI tool. Everything here seems fine. So there is a difference here between the package reference and the .NET CLI tool reference. So that seems correct. So you can add, I don't know if I made this clear, but you can actually add tooling to the .NET tool. And so that's what these .NET CLI tool references do, is they're actually introducing new tooling directly into the .NET CLI itself. So that's where that user secrets thing is coming from, and we can't find it anymore, which is causing this to be weird. So I'm wondering, hold on, we can jump a little bit around here. There is a source code for this somewhere down here, I think, that has already introduced the samples. So if you want the samples, there was a link in the chat, and that will actually take you to these sample projects, which have a number of different things. We're in the chat room one, but there's actually a whole bunch. So if you go up here, you'll see the samples directory, and there's a bunch of different examples of different samples that you can take a look at and kind of learn from, implementing a few different things. So if you preferred looking at code rather than reading docs, this might be an option for you. It's just out on GitHub. So there you go. But let's go and figure out. This is that. Let's see here. If we go into the project, this doesn't even have the this doesn't have the tooling. So let's go and figure out how to fix this. I'm not sure the best way. This wasn't on my list of things that could go wrong list. So let's see here. .NET. You shouldn't need to build this for this to work, but I'm kind of curious if this will change anything. So let's try that. Nope. .NET. This is the part where I don't know enough about injecting these commands to be able to figure this out. We have things. It's not there. It is there. Am I spelling this wrong? Secrets. Oh. Got it. Cool. I can't spell. Yep. That's cool. That's good to know. So ignore the past 5 minutes. I have made an error. So .NET user secrets is the command we're looking for, and that's going to do this. Could not find a global property. User secrets ID is set in the project. Okay, I believe it actually did mention this in this quick start, so let's go and figure out what that is. Also add a user secrets ID as shown in the following code. Got it. Okay, so we need a ID here in the property group for the app. So that can just go in here. We're going to call this the party demo. There we go. And so that should fix this issue of the no ID found. So if we run this now, hopefully, there we go. So we successfully save our secret into the secret store. So what this does is this is kind of a roundabout way for us to actually avoid using environment variables or doing other things, and allowing us to actually inject our configuration directly into our developer environment. The reason you want to do this is you don't necessarily want to be developing against production all the time. You probably don't want to do that. And so having some way for your developer environment to use a different configuration is a useful thing. So they're using this user secrets tool. And this actually gets pulled in and integrated with the .NET configuration tools. So when you're pulling config values for your environment, these secrets get overlaid over that. So now that we figured that out and I've learned how to spell, let's go and figure the rest of this stuff out. So this is adding our secret. That's what we just did. And now we can actually go and configure our service. So when we're doing this, we just need to add these two services that say, hey, this is a SignalR app to the thing. This is going to look a little bit different because, again, this is using .NET Core 3.1, it looks like. I'm on .NET 6, so we have a condensed version of this. So things might be a little bit different. But that's okay. We can figure this out. We have our app. And I think we want to add SignalR here. If I forget this, I don't think we want that. It's up on top. We have our builder. We want builder.services. All of this stuff. And then we can just get rid of this services. So this is using a builder pattern to add all of this. And so we'll get all of that. I will just double check and make sure. But this is similar to the project that we've been using. The demo project that I've been building is in .NET 6. So we can just quickly verify that I'm on the right track. We go into this program, we should see the same things. There's slightly more here. But that's mostly because we have some cores workarounds and a few other configuration things. And that is added here. So this is the same line we've done. There's just one extra little bit here that is added for adding Azure SignalR on top. So that's that. And then the next thing is below that. It looks like using routings, a file server, and endpoints. Okay, cool. So let's go and do that. So that's down below here. So the first thing we did is configure our services. And then after we've configured our services, we need to go and add everything else. So let's do that. Looks like we're already using routing. And then we can add these things. This is adding a chat hub. We don't have that. So we need to add a hub. Hubs are SignalR's way of creating these RPC endpoints. Think of it like a class that's storing a bunch of different methods that can be remotely invoked by other SignalR clients. So in this case, we need to create a new hub in order to do that. So that's what's happening here. So that error we have right now is expected. So our project won't build, but that's fine. This message broadcasts the message, and the other one echoes it back to the caller. Okay. So in this case, we can, I guess, just kind of grab this code. We don't need the namespace because we're going to do our own thing. And let's just add a chat hub. Yes, there we go. So we get our chat hub here. And so let's add that. And there we go. So the way these work, just because this is super cool, is it actually takes the names and the arguments of these methods and uses those as the foundation of the RPCs that you're creating. So every method that is declared here, every public method here, is exposed as an RPC, which means that all of these methods can be invoked by our remote clients, which is neat. And then what these are doing is grabbing a list of the clients. So that's a singleton that is grabbing all the clients. That's what all is. And then sending a message back, which is basically saying, cool, I got this broadcast message. Now we need to invoke something somewhere else. So in this case, it's sending another signal back to all the clients because, again, SignalR is a client-server communication. So the clients, all of the people on your web page, do not know about one another. They just know where the server is, and the server can send them back messages. And so when somebody sends a new chat message, that needs to go up to the server, and then the server needs to figure out who should receive that message. And in this case, we want to send it back to everybody. So we're sending this message back and basically doing a big loop. And this will include sending it back to the person who sent the message. So whoever sends the message doesn't even need to do any custom logic on their side to actually receive the message. If the message goes through, it should come back all the way to that user. So this way you kind of have that big loop. And then the same thing is happening in this echo. The only difference is it's actually filtering down the clients here. And it looks like it's finding the client that sent the message, and just having it so you can send a message up to the server and then get a message back without pinging everybody else on the server. So only you will receive your message. So that's what's happening. And because these are public methods in a hub, they're exposed publicly. So people who can access the server with SignalR can actually invoke them. So cool. So let's go and explore this. We created the chat hub here. I think that's the wrong project. That's why I was confused. So that error should be gone. So this is just a generic reference here. What's going on with this map hub is we are mapping that hub object we created with those two RPCs that we can invoke, and we're mapping that to some URL or endpoint. So in this case, it's going to be like our localhost / chat is going to be the location that we can actually send this to. And then all of those RPCs are going to be available to people that connect to that hub. So you can have multiple of these to kind of isolate different things. But you can also have multiple methods. So you have like a tree structure sort of ways you can invoke things. Cool. So let's jump back here and take a look at our client interface for the web app. Let's go on here, copy the site CSS and www root folders of the samples. Okay, so we're grabbing a bunch of this, it looks like. Okay, so this is actually not something we've done. So this is interesting. So I'm just going to quickly grab this. But SignalR supports a bunch of different languages. It doesn't just rely on .NET. So previously we built in .NET and with Blazor. So everything is .NET and we can reuse everything. That's not what's happening here. This is actually using a JavaScript. It looks like JavaScript, TypeScript. I can't tell. I think JavaScript, just because it's all together and you compiled TypeScript. So because it's embedded there, I'm pretty sure this is just JavaScript. So this is using JavaScript as a way to do this. Very much not my thing. I don't know much about JavaScript other than I can write it if I have a lot of time on Bing and Stack Overflow. So let's go and grab this, create a new file in www root named index.html and copy this. So we need these two things. So they're using all of this. Can we just grab this? One of the things I don't remember is how to, I guess this isn't that big of a deal, but there is a way to get, copying the file name isn't going to help me. But there is a way with Git to clone a specific subdirectory of a repo. So instead of cloning this entire sample repo, we could just clone this specific 3 files. But I don't remember, and I don't really want to spend time just learning that too. So if that's something people want to see, I guess let me know. But if other than that, probably not. Let's go and add the CSS file. So in our www root CSS site, go. And then we need our index. And I'm just copying these because my goal is not figure out how this JavaScript thing works. That's really not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in how do we actually integrate all of this and not fall over when we step on things. So let's see here. We have this. Let's add our index. And what else? I don't know if that's the specific index we need, but we're just going with it. And I don't need that. So let's jump back here. So we have our index.html. Copy and paste. Cool. Into the newly created file. So this is the index that they're using. I think this is the same thing we already copied, but just to double check and make sure it was not the same. So There you go. The code and index calls a hub connection.build. So let's figure out what that is. Hub connection.build, that's right at the bottom here. So what this is doing is actually going out to that SignalR service, wherever it is. Somewhere above there, it's declaring where that is. And then it's creating a connection builder and connecting to /chat to actually run this. And I believe because it's all one project, we should avoid those cores issues. So there's no cross origin because it's the same origin. And so that will do all of that. That will start the connection, and then it looks like there's some on connection stuff, and then it can just invoke these functions. So that's what's going on. If you want to dive into this code, the link is in the chat, so you can go and grab that. But otherwise, that's that. We're not gonna dive too deep into JavaScript right now. So let's add the development runtime profile. Create a folder named properties and launch settings. So this is just creating a Visual Studio Code launch file or project file to actually start this. So we don't have one, but I think we can actually just create one like this. So I'm going to do that and see what happens. There we go. Cool. That's actually not necessarily what I wanted. Created launch settings in the project folder with the following contents. Okay, interesting. Let's do that too. So new folder, properties. We already have one of those. Launch settings, cool. Here's all of this. So there's a few different things going on here. Two profiles are set up. So we have IIS Express, which is going to run a local version of IIS, which is a web host server, if that's what you want to use. If you're using IIS as your development environment or your production environment, IIS Express gives you a development version of that you can run locally and just kind of spin that up without having to do all the configuration that you would need to do to get IIS running. We haven't been using that. We've mostly been focusing on this one, which is just running our app and then setting it up on these two endpoints. So we have a secure and an unsecure endpoint. Profile, chat room, project. True. I'm just quickly double checking if there's anything different. Nope. This is all the same. So we already have this launch profile. It's just this. The only difference is a slightly different endpoint. So instead of being on port 5000, it's here. But that should be fine for what we're actually working through. So let's run it and see what happens. So build and run, cool. So let's try that. .NET build just to build it, and then .NET run to get everything started. There we go. And so hopefully, there we go. We should see a few things. Looks like we have SignalR getting started here. And all of that. And it's now connected to our Azure service. So the difference here between what we've done previously and the other thing, it kind of happened magically behind the scenes. You didn't really see anything, but there's a few extra log things here. But this is actually connecting to that Azure SignalR service that we started. You can see that message here as of what we're connecting to. So that's connected now, which means hopefully we should be able to actually see this thing run. So if I open this and go to whatever that port was, let's grab this one. Cool. And jump here. So we end up here. I was expecting a chat app. This isn't a chat app. What have I done? Because I don't think /chat is what we want. Yeah, this is going to ask us for a connection ID because that's actually going out to our SignalR hub. This is something else. So not sure. What about here? All right, we have this running. Let's double check and make sure I'm not skipping over things. So localhost 5000. Oh, do I need multiple people to join? Let's give that a shot. So we have a person here. Let's add another one. So no change. So let's go and grab this and just try to swap out HTML. There's a potential that I grabbed the wrong thing. And all of the same connection stuff is still there. I just might have screwed something up. We'll see. We have connection is now done. Shut that down. And let's restart this and see what happens. So now listening on port this. So if we go add this, still don't see a chat window. So I must have skipped something. What is your views/home? That's a good question. I assume you're asking about this, which we haven't updated, which is what we're seeing. So I'm wondering, this is the part where my front-end knowledge kind of ends, because this is definitely outside of my normal stuff. But can I just delete this views thing? We already have the index with the CSS stuff. So this is probably a not great idea. Views home, index, CSHTML. We can try that. Sure, why not? Let's see what happens. Because I don't know. So we get this index. That all looks good. So I think we can just drop this below. And let's, I should have do this, restart, see what happens. That makes a lot of sense of why, we were running into issues. The name ASP.NET does not exist in the current context. Is that a... Why are we getting compile errors here? This is, again, unfortunately, my front-end experience is not super great. So this is sort of the part that I don't really know. I'm not sure. We're getting an issue with ASP.NET doesn't exist because we're trying to pull this from a CDN, it looks like. So is that escaping when it shouldn't be? Is that what's happening here? How do you, I guess this is a question. Oh yeah, it's C#. I knew that. Cool. Thank you so much for helping out in the chat. So does that work? Does that not work? Not valid at the start of a code block. Escape the act. That makes a lot of sense. That's not. Okay, what am I doing? I'm completely lost here, or screwing this up. That @ symbol is throwing me for a loop, and I don't know why. I would have assumed it was a backslash, but it doesn't appear to be. At least the syntax highlighting isn't letting me know that it is. And I was kind of assuming that we could escape this with the @ in front. What? I just don't actually know the way to solve this. You want @@. Okay. Perfect. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so double at escapes the at. Let's see if we get rid of our compile error. That's cool, actually. I do like the fact that you get a compile error here. Coming from backend stuff, I prefer compile errors to runtime errors. You run into issues and then you can't figure them out. So this catches them before that. Because otherwise, this one we would have gotten here and seen this and been like, why isn't this working? So there we go. Cool. So we can give ourselves a name. So let's do Sam. Cool. Sam joined. Awesome. And we can go here and refresh this. And we'll say Reactor. So Reactor joined. This is an important thing of things. Yes, awesome. Thank you, Kibble White, for the nice troubleshooting thing. Kudos to Build. I think that's how you pronounce your name. But yeah, definitely kudos for that, because that is it. Yeah, it's super helpful. So we have this figured out here. We have the Reactor joined. The interesting thing here is we only see Reactor joined because we're the only ones who joined here. This was refreshed most recently. And so if we switch back here, we have 2 people. But the other one only sees the 1 because it's not a stateful thing. We're just sending functions back and forth. So there's no like state unless you send that state. And so in this case, because this user was already joined, it sees that both people joined because it got both those messages, whereas the other person only saw themselves join. But they should still get the messages. So if I send hi, it should still get the message from me. So this is how all of this stuff ends up working. And I guess this is sort of the cool part of SignalR. It just lets you send messages between your clients really, really nicely. So we've kind of run into the end here, but that is, I think, a kind of nice little endpoint. The interesting thing is where this service is actually backed by Azure SignalR, which it didn't require that much change on our side. We didn't need to do that much to actually make this happen. Instead, we just added the configuration and got it to work. And so there we go. I believe we can break this now if we really want to by just regenerating this key we used. So if I switch this key out, I think we're going to get connection issues. This is mostly me just testing this because I don't actually know what's going to happen here. But I just invalidated the key that we were using, so that connection string doesn't work anymore. The one we're using, it shouldn't be valid. And so what I'm expecting is if I refresh this, so it's the Reactor, end up here. Can I actually send messages? No. So if I start trying to send messages now, where nothing happens. And I think if I go and look at this, we might see some errors in here. Yeah, there we go. So a bunch of 404s and 401s. So the 401 is a not authorized thing. So we cycled our key, so it's no longer authorized to actually connect here. Which if we were just connecting directly to our server, we didn't add any auth. That wasn't there. So we broke that just because we swapped out this development key. So that's actually kind of neat. So there's actually not too much required to actually make this work, which is neat. So I'm going to be kind of finishing up, now that we've kind of talked about this, I'm going to be trying to finish up this project, which just to refresh everybody's memory here, let's go back to this and hopefully not get any conflicts. Go. And so if we jump into our, does this work? Yeah, cool. You can use a star when you're searching or trying to autocomplete. This works in PowerShell, and I believe it also works in Bash and stuff. But if you do star and then like server, because my projects are named Pixel CLI-server and Pixel CLI-web, I think. I didn't know that, so I just typed star server and auto completed it, and it filled it out for me. So little quick tip, I guess. But that's something cool that you can do. So if we do this and run this, this is what we've been building. So my goal, I guess, over this week is to kind of finish the project so it appears done, and then start finishing and integrating a lot of these services. So we'll actually have an Azure service connected to this. And then the end goal is to get this project into a state where you can actually come into one of our Microsoft Reactor spaces, maybe not all of them. I'm mostly located in the San Francisco space, so I'm going to be trying to get it to work there. But you'll be able to come in and actually draw pictures, hopefully, once I switch here. These will no longer just be numbers. These will be pixels, so you can actually send pixels, and different people in different places can actually draw pictures during events if you're there. At least that's sort of the end goal. The entire project is going to be open sourced. I don't know about the configuration stuff. My intent is to add things like Azure SignalR onto it. But I might have some coming up later. That I've been looking recently into how to actually integrate Kubernetes service operators for Azure into your thing. And so you can actually start integrating those Kubernetes service operators with SignalR, for example, into your Kubernetes cluster. So you could actually spin up one of these Azure SignalR services directly from Kubernetes. And then you can integrate this project also hosted in your Azure Kubernetes service cluster into that, hopefully, and get it all to work. I still need to figure out what that actual infrastructure looks like. But if that's something people want to see, definitely let me know. Because that's sort of the plans right now, is to kind of maybe potentially over-architect this. It's a small app and there's not many users. But with demos, that's kind of always the case. And so trying to kind of adjust how this might work if you needed to scale that up, if you needed to address more than a few users. So if you want to see that, stay tuned in. Other than that, there won't be a Reactor Code Lab next week. Go to build. There's going to be some cool announcements, and hope you like it. But thanks everybody for joining. There is a survey that was dropped into the link into the chat. If you want to fill that out, that lets us know if you like what we're doing, if we can change things, and any of that other stuff. That's sort of our way of judging if we're on the right track. Otherwise, you can always reach out to me directly, and I'm happy to either change or help you out. Just let me know. But thanks everybody for joining, and definitely thanks so much for helping out with all the debugging stuff. That was super appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Sam. Well, I appreciate it. Again, everyone, thanks a lot for joining. And as Sam mentioned, please feel free to fill out the survey and use the event code 15761. Thank you all so much for joining.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.